BFDI is changing. Okay, look, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but it is as a series. It's definitely not the same as it was in pre-split BFB in previous seasons. And that could either be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. You see, BFDI as a series, I don't believe is taking a different approach, but I feel like mainly with BFDIA, it is changing a bit, and it could be in a good way or a bad way. A complaint that I've heard a lot of people say about BFDIA is that there's too much going on within the season, and it's kind of hard to follow. Basically alluding to the fact that there's too many locations and too many characters to keep up with. YouTuber Thorarm Talks, now known as Thorarm Talks, not Thorarm Clips, Thorarm Talks, he brought up this point in his video, kind of discussing, his issue with modern day BFDI. And, this could definitely become a big problem for the series over time, but I don't think it is. Let me kind of explain why. Now, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think this is going to become a big issue, and it's because of the fact that most people watch BFDI for a certain feeling. And this is something that my good friend Park Films told me that he kind of experiences with BFDI as well. You watch BFDI not for the plot or the story, or maybe not even the characters sometimes as well, but you watch it for a certain feeling that you get. It's kind of indescribable. Some people say it's nostalgia, some people say it's just pure happiness. You get a certain feeling, a good feeling, from watching BFDI episodes. And I can say that I get this feeling as well. BFDI never was, is, and probably never will be a very story-based show. It's just not that kind of object show. If you want to watch that kind of object show, then you can watch. There's other ones out there. There's an Intimate Insanity Season 2 is a pretty good example of the later episodes leading up to the end. There's obviously one, a very popular example, like the Nightly Manor, and there's a lot of modern object shows as well, that, have an overarching storyline to it. BFDI is just more of a lighthearted and silly show where the characters just kind of mess around while competing in the standard object show competition formula, which is something for a different day. But you also have to understand the fact that BFDI has kind of, I was going to say that BFDI has kind of always been like this, but not necessarily. Battle for Dream Island used to be very, very simplistic, and in a good way. If you're talking about the early seasons of the show, especially like Season 1 and Season 2, before it went on hiatus and got canceled, then yeah, it was a very simplistic show, and even in BFB Pre-Split as well. It was only... I just fucking burped again, bro. This is like the third time this has happened in one of my videos. But anyway, it was only until after Pre-Split when BFDI started to adapt more of a storyline, but not quite a storyline as well. There was just more going on. You know what I mean? Because I still want to stick to my point from earlier that there is no overarching storyline to the show. There was just a lot more going on. That's a better way to describe it. There's a lot more happening in the series, a lot more stuff that was going on, basically, just to, dumb it down. There was a new, Profiley became a whole thing within post-split, and then Teapot happened, which Teapot was meant to be more of a story-based kind of version of BFDI, or a more story-based season of BFDI, and this has kind of been more evident with the inclusion of One within the show, not the series One, but the character. And I think it's definitely a good, new addition to the series, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. But at the end of the day, BFDI, like any series, has problems. You know what I mean? It's not perfect. it probably will never be perfect is because nothing's perfect. You know what I mean? BFDI is very nostalgic, and you get a certain feeling from watching it, which is what makes it special. The characters are very lighthearted. The series is lighthearted. You know what I mean? You can have a good time from watching BFDI. And it's easy to get attached to the characters. I know I have in the past. One thing that I am very curious about is the distant future of BFDI. Is because I wonder how many seasons the show is going to have, and I also kind of wonder how they're going to go about ending Teapot and BFDIA, and will they bring back IDFB in the future? I don't know. It's because the fact that BFDI is changing does tie into the bro, I cannot talk in this video for some reason. It does tie into the fact, or into the question, of how will BFDI end? What is the future of BFDI if it continues to adapt more of these changes? And I think that's up for interpretation, honestly. It's because you have to think of it in a certain way to where it's like, okay, you know what I mean? You have the series that people just get a certain good feeling from watching, and it's kind of indescribable, right? Obviously, if they've been doing it for this long, it wouldn't be that hard to replicate it, of course. But I do wonder what's going to happen with the rest of Teapot, for an example. Teapot is really what I'm curious about. Is because if BFDI adapts more of these changes into Teapot, which they kind of have been doing beforehand, will this improve the season, or will it, start the decline of the season's popularity? Honestly, I think we just have to wait and see. And I'm definitely excited to see how the rest of the series will play out. Basically, it's because it does kind of raise some questions, and that's a fun part about BFDI is that you get to speculate a lot. You get to answer different questions. Create new questions about the series that maybe someday will get answered, but maybe they won't. There's BFDI theories from multiple years ago that are still active is because they haven't been answered yet. And they may never will be. We'll just have to come up with our own conclusions about it. In short, BFDI is a continuously growing series, which is why if you were to make an iceberg video about BFDI, which people have definitely done before, eventually it would get a bit outdated, is because the series is constantly growing. There's new episodes constantly being made. It'd be best to make an iceberg video after the series ends, is because then you can get a more proper idea on how the show is. You know what I mean? You have more material to cover in the iceberg, and it'll be you can make a proper iceberg video. But even then, you know what I mean? Like I said before, want to see how the rest of the series is going to play out, and I think it's only a matter of time until we get that. But I'm going to stop yapping. I've been yapping for almost 9 minutes now. So if you guys enjoy kind of more commentary videos like this, where I just give more of my own personal opinion, and it's really just me talking, then consider subscribing to the channel. I like making these videos. I enjoy making them a lot, actually. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to waste you guys' time. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.